Hi, thank you for joining me. My name is Scott Lytham, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the challenges in sustainment and uptime. So let's take a look at what I'm going to talk to you about today. Here you can see I'm going to start by covering why you should care about sustainment. What's so important about sustainment? All right, then I'm going to go into what are the support challenges for original equipment manufacturers when it comes to sustainment and uptime services. And then finally, I will talk to you about how you can strategize to extend the life of your test system. So let's start with sustainment and why you should care. So here what I've done is I've created a demand plot for the product of a commercial test system. So you can see the demand goes up over time, and it peaks and then comes down. However, this is a typical wireless system, but what about aerospace defense? Now you can see in aerospace defense, the demand does not go down as fast as in wireless. And in fact, as seen by these two programs listed here, you can see that the program length is around 30 to 35 years. And in fact, this is typical for many aerospace defense programs. So you can see that there's a need for sustainment during this whole time of the test system. So let's talk about some of the trends and why you should care. You know, that may seem kind of lofty, right? So let's talk about specifics. So you can see some of the trends here. You can see that the demand for electrical components is increasing. You know, that's caused by the reduced number of deployed forces, which requires you to have more quality electronics in order to be able to talk to each other and have very good, reliable communication, right? And then on top of that, there are fewer programs available. So what does that mean? It means increased competition to win those programs. All right, what about program schedules? Well, the time to market is decreasing. There's a lot more pressure, right, in order to get to market fast and to be competitive. On top of that, you have budget constraints. So you have limited budget to focus on things like sustainment, and once you get your program in place, you don't have a lot of budget to change that. Right? So finally, what we need to think about is how we can sustain our test systems, how we can mitigate downtime, and then how we can have a strategy to either extend the life or upgrade and refresh. So that's how we're going to focus on today. So let's talk about some of the challenges that an original equipment manufacturer would have when trying to support test systems long term. So here we have that same demand cycle that I showed you earlier, but you can see this is actually focused on the original equipment manufacturer. And you can see here that there are new products coming out all the time, right? And as new products come out, there's a demand, right, for the manufacturer to focus on that new product. So that means resources like manufacturing line space, right, warehouse to hold the equipment and the instruments, as well as the knowledge, right, the knowledge of the new products versus the old products. You have a lot of challenges when it comes to making sure that your older instruments have the ability to be supported by the original equipment manufacturer. So once again, that manufacturer must decide, is it better to support the older products, which may be very expensive and have a lower expected return on the investment, or should the manufacturer go after the high risk to get a higher return, as well as to focus on new technologies? Of course, if you miss that window of technology, you won't be on the cutting edge. And if we want our customers to be able to innovate, we have to be innovating along with them and get on the front end of that. And so oftentimes the focus is on the new product, and that leaves the older product to our customers to figure it out, right? So this is a challenge that we have to face. Well, what about the idea of parts supply, right? As over time, you can see here, this red line is the supply of parts for a product. The blue line, however, is the demand for repair. So you can see this paradox. As the demand for repair increases, the demand or the supply for parts goes down. So as the supply for parts goes down, it becomes harder and harder for that manufacturer to repair the equipment. So that's something that we need to face. And then also, there's the issue with product expertise. So not only is the demand going up for repairs, the product expertise is going to new products, not sticking with the old ones. So it's even more difficult to find somebody who has the ability to repair those older systems. And the last thing, we focus on parts, right? Well, what about parts availability? That can be a very big challenge for the original equipment manufacturer. You can see here the parts availability from suppliers. One of the main issues is in terms of quality of the part. How do you know that the part you're getting is genuine, right? So if you want to ensure that, you need rigorous quality processes to ensure that every product that comes through and is put into a new instrument or into a repaired instrument is the correct actual product and not a counterfeit or some kind of bad quality product or part that's being put in there. On top of that, the original equipment manufacturer needs to focus on whether or not to do component level repair. Because oftentimes doing assembly level repair is a lot easier and faster versus component level. However, if there's no supply of parts, you kind of have to do component level, right? So that can be very costly, and the expertise associated with that. And the last thing, we talked a lot about quality, and that's key here. How do you ensure that the part that you replace is going to be working and that the instrument will continue to work to the original manufacturer's specifications, right? And that's all about the quality assurance processes that are in place. And this can be very costly and time-consuming. All right, so finally, let's say how we can help you guys extend the life of your test system. Here are some strategies to follow. And the way that we're going to look at this is by the phases of your life cycle. So you can see here in the life cycle of a product, you have the growth, the maturity, and then the slow decline, especially of an aerospace defense system. And over time, the green and the red are the acquisition and disposition of your test system. So that means over time you might acquire new instruments in order to account for the demand. It will peak, and then you need to look at ways you can repair, replace, or upgrade your equipment as you go through the sustainment phase. So how are we going to address what options are available at purchase versus when repairs or replacements are needed? Well, we have some options here, but the thing I want you to remember is that you must focus from day one on your sustainment. You can't just focus on the growth and the maturity of your product. If you do that, you will miss out on a lot of cost savings. It may be too late too. There may not even be a part available to replace or repair your system, and so you need to focus on the sustainment of your system up front. So let's talk about what options are available at purchase. One of the key things you can do is take advantage of the OEM, because the original equipment manufacturer often has the supply available, especially at purchase. If you focus on early warranty and maintenance options, you can save up to 70%. So remember, if you take advantage of these early agreements off right at purchase, you can be saving a lot of money. And in terms of how long, we have assurance plans, 10 years at Keysight, and we can go beyond that, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. Another thing to consider is uptime. How important is downtime to you? How much money are you losing on your manufacturing line when it goes down? And are you frustrated with your service provider? Are you frustrated with the turnaround time? Who are you frustrated with? Are you frustrated with us? I hope not. If you are, let me know, and I'll try to help you. All right, let's talk about end of support. We have a new capability called extended service period. I was just talking to you about this. So what happens after an instrument is declared obsolete? Do we walk away from customers? We used to, but not anymore. Let me go back. There you go. Not anymore, because we can actually repair and calibrate instruments after they're obsolete. And the way we do that is by looking around for parts. And if you buy an agreement with us up front, we will actually prioritize you above anyone else, and we will make sure that the parts are available to support your instrument as long as you need it. So that means if you need 30 years of support, if you tell us up front, we can go out and ensure that the parts are available, and you will get preferred service every time you send in your instrument for repair. We can sometimes repair instruments that are already obsolete if we have the parts available. And the way that you'll know is we'll let you know. But the way that we decide or if an instrument is available for repair after obsolescence is we see how much demand there is for the instrument and how many parts are available. But over time, of course, the parts availability goes down. And so you may find that after you send the instrument in, we can't repair it. But if you have an agreement, that changes things. So let's talk about contingency planning. Always remember that you can work with us to determine a customized agreement to extend your test system long term. We can regularly monitor life cycles and make a lifetime buy for any of the critical components in your test system. One way to manage time is to keep spare instruments in stock, and we'll talk about how you can work with your original equipment manufacturer in order to provide an agreement for spare instruments. And one of the key ways you can manage long-term is by keeping an asset management list, to be keeping track of your assets and looking at the usage over time. You can identify unused instruments, and then you can use those for spares or for parts. So what about uptime support? Once again, you need to go with a provider that's going to be able to give you all the options that you need to provide a customized package, whether it be at the service center where you return your instrument for very high quality repairs, calibration, where we have actually consistent processes around the world, to on-site calibration or on-site repair with a resident professional, all the way to things like loaner services, where if you have issues with and you want to help maintain your loaners on site, or you need to keep them at Keysight, where we can then ship them to you on short notice. This will save you a lot of time and money by working at loaner services as an agreement. And then finally, we offer asset management service that's available 24/7 on the web, where you can keep track of all of your calibration history and all your other service history. And what happens, though, if you don't go ahead and make plans up front? All right, there may be some ways that you can mitigate some of the issues here. So let's talk about it. Essentially, what you're doing is you're trying to balance quality and cost for repairs. So you have three options when your instrument needs a repair. You can either go to the OEM, you can go to a third party, or you can do your own repair on site. There are problems and trade-offs with each of these. You may get the best quality with the OEM, but it's also the most expensive, and the OEM may not have the supply. With third parties, yeah, they may have a large store of parts, but they may be lacking that expertise that the OEM would be able to have about their product. And finally, doing your own repairs, maybe you're the best repairman in the world, and then you should do your own repair. But if you're me, I can't do a repair. So it may not be a core competency, okay? So that's why OEM is there. Hold on. So another option is to find secondhand replacements. So sometimes you can actually look around for old instruments that are available, for example, on eBay or on Alibaba. And we actually offer an eBay store. We also offer reduced prices on premium used with the same warranty coverage as a new instrument. So all these things are available for you to find parts for your instrument. But once again, this will always cost more than what an upfront agreement will cost. So remember that. All right, remember, Keysight has services available for all parts of your life cycle. So please talk to us. We're willing to help you, and we will meet any of your needs. All right, thank you.